moving forward. Yes, establishing what we've done and making that work really well is as important. But if we don't move forward, we die. Okay. We can't be doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting a changing curriculum or a changing student population and a changing growth and brain plasticity. Those things all change in years and years. So we cannot do inclusion the same way we've done it 4 years ago. We can't do inclusion the same way we've done it 3 years ago. We have to continuously be moving forward. And this is what this is about today. Now, I have no clue how this thing works. So inclusion, to me, is meeting the need of every single student that comes through the door. It's not just about the kids who are on the ECN register or on the gifted and talented register or who are vulnerable. It's about every single child that comes through that door with a need. They all have needs, and all of these needs that they have are up to us as educators, as parents, as policy makers to make sure that these needs are met. I love this picture because schooling, those of you who has had any learning difficulties when you were a child at school, know how it feels to stand on this side and see everybody accessing something that you cannot access. You don't know why you don't know, you just know that you don't know. And oftentimes it's building that bridge. Whatever that bridge looks like is different for every child. Sometimes it's a glass bridge, sometimes it's a hang bridge, sometimes it's simply just a rope that we throw over that big gap and try and get them over. When inclusion works well, it's a beautiful thing to see. At WSO, as I said, we don't see inclusion as an ECN focus, we see it as a whole academy focus. It means that every child coming through the door has what they need. I have students who are on gifted and talented register but can't make friends. That's an inclusion need. Because when they're happy, they learn better. Inclusion means that every teacher is trained. And that's the bit where we as educators often stumble. That's the bit where school and policy makers often stumble. Because as a teacher, everybody in your class has to get what they need. But as a teacher, you don't always have the training to get you to a place where you can actually meet the needs of those students successfully. If you agree with me, can I have a show that you agree or you don't agree? Our biggest problem or our biggest downfall that we create ourselves is not training our staff to know what to do in every situation. Looking at the journey that we've had as a school and as an inclusion department, and keeping in mind that it is a journey, it's not a destination. We grew from a really small inclusive department we had about 7 students on the inclusion register in secondary 3 years ago, and we now have just over 270 ECN students on the register in secondary. In terms of the whole inclusion register, we had 1,200 students in secondary, now it's about 300 students almost. And of these, we have over 700 students on a register somewhere, receiving bespoke support somewhere, whether it's talented, whether it's mentoring, whether it's exam revision, whether it's counselor seeing the student, whether it's a friendship group. But over half of the students in secondary school at our school are currently receiving some type of specialist support to help with their need. Some of this is long-term, absolutely, but some of this is just for now, because that's what you need now. Tomorrow it might be different, and that's okay. If we look at the whole school picture, because this is, as I said, a whole academy focus, it's not just secondary, and it's not just ECE. But if we look at the whole school, we have 58 students from FS1 to year 30 who are additional resources with an ASS or with outside support. And how that works in our school is parents pay for this additional resource, but these these people that we recruit, or these LSS that we recruit, are all trained through 4 different outside agencies. And this is all part of what the staff then gets out of this. Now, you know, if you work with a child with autism and you're a dental hygienist assistant that's at home because you recently moved to Dubai and you don't really want to go back into that, you go to your child's school and you say, I am here to do something. When we then pull in these wonderful parents, and I can say that 85% of my LSSs or my learning support specialists are actual parents in the school. What we do is we have a 10-week program of training with whatever the need for the specific child is. How do we determine what the specific need of the child is? Every single child in our school, and I'm going to show you this now. Sorry, I honestly don't know how this thing works. Go back to that. Every single child in our school gets a sheet like this. Now, it's a terrible sheet, I know, you can't really see what it says. But what it is through the admissions process, there are 10 different categories identified by the KHTA and the same code of practice that was issued last year in May, the Uniform 2014. And each of these 10 categories then has descriptors, which is allocated, which has a point scale allocated to it. If there's no need in sensory, then there's a 0. If there's some need, it's a 1. If there's a mild need, it's a 2. And if there's a big need, 3 and 4 is your highest score. So every single child coming in to our admissions process gets a sheet that looks like this. This sheet is highlighted for this child, and that then gives this child a score, a need score. So we have this for SEN, we have this for ELL. It looks different, but it's the same concept. And we are currently working on one for gifted and talented as well. And I will talk about the gifted and talented program in a bit. But this then determines what the need of the child is. The parent fills one in, the school fills one in, and oftentimes when it's post-16, our students also get the opportunity to tell us how their brains work. This then determines the need in a group or in a year group. So just for interest sake, probably won't interest you, but to me it was very interesting. Last year, our average score in year 7 for need, for your average student, was 2.3 points. So that would mean that every teacher teaching a class of 12 form entry, so every teacher teaching a class should be able to have 25 students with a need score of 2 points, which is 56. Math teacher. The moment this score goes to 70, or this need score goes to 75, 80, we as a school, or as administration, or as inclusion department, need to make a plan to support this teacher. And the way we've done this is we have done the same needs matrix, is what I call it, lovingly referred to, for our teaching assistants, and we've identified their strong key areas. And then we have attributed a point score to each of these TAs. So if it's a classroom, let's say year 7, very, very high need, we don't leave it up to the teacher to support all of those students. We push in TA support, teaching assistant support, that can cover the remaining points of the needs in the classroom. In year 8, funnily enough, it's just over 3 points because you see brain development and they go into puberty and it's just a different ballgame. But just to give you an idea how we identify the needs in the students. So every student has this. Some of them has a need score of 1, some of them has a need score of 16. Any time a child has a need score over 7, we are looking at more focused wave 2 or wave 3 support. Now in our school, wave 2 support is free of charge to all parents. We run touch typing interventions. We've got 28 staff members, I'll show you the list. 28 staff members who are currently supporting in secondary school. None of those the support staff members has teaching load. And we have been very, very lucky that our principal, Mr. McJernan, is so pro-inclusion because a lot of that funding, we'll talk about the cost of inclusion in a minute, but a lot of that funding comes out of the school budget. You cannot be an inclusive school if your management does not buy into inclusion. You cannot be an inclusive school if you don't have the resources. You can't be partly inclusive because that is not inclusion, that is exclusion actually. And for the most part, we try to do what we call push-in support, where we have these teaching systems. So we have 4 in English, we have 3 in maths, we have 2 in science, I have an ICT specialist, 2 Arabic TAs who are specialists, 2 Islamic support specialists, and then we have the pastoral system that supports social emotional development. But on top of that, we also have the learning support specialists who are funded by parents. And these specific gifted areas that they have in school are then put into the classroom with a specific student or group of students. So parents can then pay as a group for this one LSS working with Year 7 English for 3 or 4 students. Because our time slot in the school day for secondary is 2 hours per lesson, it enables us to then send in support. So every child gets the same thing. We send in the support. They work with these students in the class while the teacher is teaching. Obviously, this planning has been shared before the time. Then, the support staff member has the option to either remove these students from the class group and work somewhere else on a modified curriculum or on differentiated tasks. Very directed to specific students. Alternatively, they can stay in the class and work with the students in the class. We always then, should we have taken these students out of that lesson, go back into the lesson and support for the plenary and making sure that the information that was shared on that day in that lesson is consolidated. So the student should never feel like they've missed something. We've literally just removed them for the task, put them right back in. The biggest win out of all of this is that our students who are being worked with on specific things are not feeling like there's something wrong with them, or that they are being excluded out of the lesson where they usually would not be able to be accommodated in the session. It works differently in our primary school because it's so skill-based, it's often needed for us to remove the students in a small group and do phonics, because the rest of the class has moved on from the level where they're at. But in secondary, this model works very well because the students' self-confidence in the classes are showing us that they're actually feeling better about their own participation in class. We often see that these students then come back into class and they have the answers. They have the answers because not only have we pre-taught what's coming, we've also had the opportunity to make sure that we've identified the gaps in their learning. A simple example of this is we had a Year 7 student who struggles with concept formation in maths. And this young lady, she works incredibly hard. And she sits in class and she gets it. And she goes out and she comes back the next math session and it's gone. It's gone, the information is gone. So the concept formation and the getting this information down to the place where she can actually apply it is not happening the way it should. So what we've done with her is, so she's got the middle block on a Monday and the last block on a Thursday she has math. So what we've done is, the break time before she has math, we revised last week's work. So when she then goes into the math class, immediately she has the context. Yes, the concept formation is not there yet, but she has the context. So she doesn't feel like she's catching up all the time. We do the same on a Thursday. And that's the beauty of inclusion, is that when we start to be able to give students what they need, we are doing something right. Yes, we are not there yet by any means. As a school, we are still trying to better the way we do this. And one of the ways that we better this is by supporting our class teachers. I don't know how many of you have experienced a teacher coming to you and say, this child can't read, fix it. Or, I don't know, there's something with this child, I don't know what, but there's something off. And that's often because our teachers don't know. It's not that they don't want to, it's literally that they don't know. How do we as a school then approach inclusion? We have a very clear vision and mission statement. And our vision statement actually says to support every child in their development through school. And it's not about targets. Progress is not about targets. Progress is about how well this child is able to cope with the world outside, life after school. So if we look at our vision is for inclusion for the whole school is to be able to produce well-functioning adults who are able to contribute to the world around them. We also have vision and mission statements, inclusion statements for every single subject in school. So what does inclusion look like in English? What does inclusion look like in PE? What does inclusion look like in media studies? Then obviously we follow legislation and policy guidelines very, very closely. Anything that comes from MOE, from the KHDA, as well as from other parts of the world where we see brilliant practice. Resource allocation and use is another big one. Because how much is enough? How many things do you need to be able to teach a child? Now, I'm from South Africa and I was trained in a very different world that I'm accessing now. And sometimes I just had a newspaper and I had to teach with that newspaper because that's what I had. So when we talk about resources, a lot of the nice to have stuff in resources, like the Big White Gold program or lexicon programs or lexicon reading programs, they are brilliant things. They make our life easier, but they are not the key. I have found through extensive research, not only in the UAE, but in South Africa and the UK, that in the end of the day, it's the one-to-one contact that you have with a child. It's the relationship that oftentimes changes a child's outcome. Because suddenly, one person believes in me. And that's all it needs. It's all a child needs is one person to believe in you. Then we have an open door policy in our school where any teacher is allowed to go into any teacher's class at any stage and see what they do. I also do inclusion walks every week, so I do about 5 inclusion walks a week, and just all I do is I'm trying to spot you being good. Okay, there's no judgment, there's no this is an outstanding or a good or none of that. It's just I'm trying to catch you out being good at one thing. We have a bulletin board that I then weekly post this on to say we've just called Mr. Patrick at being really great at including our SEN kids in drumming. We also have a shared resource folder. So if you have something that works really well, you dump it in there and anybody can access it. We do a lot of professional development, and I think this is the key oftentimes, is there's not enough time in the year to do enough professional development. But there are so many courses around Dubai and so many things going on. I mean, CINC is running courses weekly. Kids First are running courses every other week. These clinics who want our parents to be involved. Lighthouse Arabia is another wonderful resource, and they have these free courses for anybody to go. We just went to Dr. Rudolph at Lexicon's course 4 or 5 weeks ago, and out of that course they offered to assess all of our students for free. So there's so many resources around us that is accessible to anybody that wants to. Partnership, teamwork, and evaluation. Inclusion cannot be done by one person. It literally takes every single person, the tag team around this child, to be involved and to be on board and to be willing to support. If I don't have my parents in, I can honestly tell you that nothing I do in the school day is going to make a huge difference in the long run. Public awareness in this course, that's why I'm here. What we do is we have coffee mornings, we have link outs, we have reach outs, and what we're trying to do is, I've just been at a conference with Jamaica Group, and what we're trying to do is we're trying to make people aware that inclusion, not special needs, not gifted and talented, not vulnerable students, but inclusion needs to be focused on. Because we have loads of resources and wonderful things for our students with severe needs, so our students who are disabled, our students who are autistic. We have loads of places in Dubai and coverage for those students. But it's oftentimes the students that are just underperforming in the school that needs the support, but there's no funding, or there's no help for these. And that's the category that we need to focus on. Knowledge base for practices, yes, we do a lot of research. I actually just brought the latest research to show you. And moving forward for our school is we are looking at how to deliver the support better. So we have a whole contract between teachers and TAs and learning support specialists to have a conversation about what my role is and what your role is. And how is this different? What is the expectation? I always say to staff, we under-promise and we over-deliver. You say to a teacher, you have this child on your list and you need to support this child with differentiation. But the grown-ups in the room often do not know what their job is. They just come and they sit with the child. Therefore, a lot of what we do is knowledge-based and research-based. Then linking policy into practice, of course. We have 14 policies in our department that pertain to inclusion, from accessibility to internal exams, external exams, moving around in school, the fire policy, which you all have, evacuation policy, SEN, inclusion as a whole, ELL, Arabic learning support, Arabic language support. So we've got 14 policies, we've got loads of policies. But if this is not in the classroom being used by teachers, the policies are worthless. Advocacy and then leadership. As I said, we are very, very lucky that we have a principal and the management staff and the CEO who actually wants to invest in inclusion. Looking at the cost, because this is a big one. In order to really measure the real cost involved, the concept of full inclusion needs to be defined. As I said, every single class, every single child, every single class, every single need. We are looking at staffing. Now in secondary we are 2 SEN teachers qualified. I have 28 other staff members, of which 20 are teaching assistants that are paid by the school to support all students, whether it's WAC 1, WAC 2, WAC 3. We have a full-time counsellor in secondary, I have a full-time counsellor in primary as well. And then I have 8 SEN learning support specialists who work with different students. They are directly linked to a specific student because the parents pay. Then looking at resources. We have loads of resources available for SEN and for inclusion, and lots of these resources cost a lot of money. The programs that we run, because it's time, and then the training that is involved, not only manpower, but also paying outside agencies to train our staff. So in our school, as an estimate, we are looking at about just under 500,000 dirhams per year to be an inclusive school. That is what our budget says. In primary, there's an SEN teacher for every year group and a TA for every year group, and then about 30 SEN learning support specialists. So if we look at the whole cost of inclusion, we're looking at about 500,000 dirhams a year, which is a lot of money. It's a lot of money. We are lucky, as I said, that we have a principal and a management that wants to invest. But the big picture of this is the wins of inclusion as social capital for all of us. A lot of that 500,000, which is the huge figure that I just mentioned, is covered by school fees, is covered by getting people in to do different things. I, for instance, teach psychology, year 10 and 11 GCSEs as well. I teach history. So part of my job is also being a class teacher and helping with that burden there. But I do a lot of fundraising. I do a lot of projects in school. I get other outside people involved. For the outside agencies, for instance, for the training part, what we do is we often speak at conferences and then there's an agreement that their staff will come and train our staff. You know, it's like a give and take. So there's loads of ways around that humongous figure. But what do we get out of it? In the end of the day, I have 1,200 students, almost 200 students in secondary, who are all willing to pick up their friend's bag who has Asperger's, who cannot cope with the load today. I have students who care about one another enough to be a part of this. I have students who believe that it's okay to be different. I have students who believe that as a community, we're all part of the same thing. We have empathy skills, and not only students, looking at teachers, looking at parents. Creating this culture of acceptance, it's much more important than the figure of 500,000 that is mentioned. Then we look at the connections with other people. I would like to share with you two of my students, Devani and Jonathan. Their names are there with permission from their parents. Devani is a year 10 student, and she has very, very low ability scores. She struggles with all things organizational, all things academic, because she cannot commit anything to memory. And what we've done with Devani is we have actually put her on an alternative path. So when they cannot access the curriculum, they do something else. So she has work experience 3 mornings a week, where she's in an FS1 class at TA. She works in the library sometimes. But her whole course, her GCSEs, is around the functional skills. So she does math, English, ICT with functional skills, this UK distance learning, and then she has art and food tech to make up her 5 GCSEs. And this young lady, for the first time in her life, she is successful with something. You should see her. She's glowing. She's glowing. But what this creates an opportunity for her to develop her own skills, so that she has something when she leaves us to say, I was in school for 5 years, in secondary school 5 years, and I have a piece of paper that says I was in school. And I can go and work in a nursery, or I can go and work with a catchy course to get this done. We have changed the course of her future, because previously her dad said, you know what, I'll just pull her out of school and she can go home back to India. How unfair is that? So we need to make a plan. The other young man, Jonathan, he's currently in our IB program, and we have loads of inclusion in IB as well. We modified the curriculum to the very extent of the law, where the IB says to us, okay, this time you can do this. But with Jonathan, what he has done is he has been a child with Asperger's, and he's been on our register from primary school, not our primary school, they came to us from another school. And he's currently year 13, and he's passing. But what we've done with him is we have actually gotten him into a place where he can do most of his academics outside of school. He's like a pot plant. He needs to be on the outside, not the inside. But he takes part in all the social things, and he's registered to us. So when he's off campus, he is marked as off school, teaching activities, learning activities like that. So currently he's doing a big project for film and media with one of the big houses that they were involved in the Star Trek movie house, something like that. And he's currently involved there, helping with film editing. He's happy. He has a future. And in the end of the day, that's what we need to look at. The big questions. How do we lessen the tension between cost and provision to get to a low cost but high impact model? Because that's where we're headed now. We've got the things in place. We are looking at quality. We are looking at how many kids are being looked after. Now the question is, how can we bring this cost down? The biggest answer for that first one is to maintain our staff. Because every time we lose a staff member, we have to retrain. And training costs money. So we need to keep our staff happy. We need to keep them supported. We need to make sure that they know what they need with our kids' benefit. How do we supply to the demand of the needs in the academy? Now, there's a huge thing about staffing, and at this stage, unfortunately, you get to a point where you cannot take another child because there's just no room available. But the wonderful thing is that the other schools in our area has now adapted this model. So we are actually losing students to other, which would in the past have been exclusive schools. Very happy to say we just got 2 students into one of our schools, and in inclusion, we are not competitors. And they went for admissions twice before, and they failed both times. And now they're in. How do we support in a fair and consistent way? Because who's to say that your child is more important than her child? And why do I spend so much time and money on this child and not on the other child? And what? The way we've bridged that was to have that needs matrix to show that we are meeting the need. It's not about how often we see the child, it's all we're doing what the child needs. The biggest answer is by having a partnership between the academy, parents and the students. And secondly, it's so important that the student is a part of this. Because if they don't have ownership of this, they will not take responsibility, which in the end will lead to a wasted effort that could have been directed somewhere else. So our students are involved in their IEPs, they're involved in their target settings, and they are involved in measuring their own progress. So they have to remind the thing for me every term that says, this term I have. Now part of this is having the trust between the student and the teachers. And I am in the most fortunate position to have been at this school from the start. So I was in primary and I'm been for 3 years. So the students who are now coming into our secondary school are students that I'm taught when they were in primary. So we have that continuity of what the child can expect from us and what we can expect from the child. I always say to the teachers, there's a 5 rule. You have to know the student and the child. You have to be honest. It is because we want so badly to give parents hope that we sometimes paint a picture that is too favorable. I mean, oftentimes we do not meet the need that the teacher or the parent has expected us to do because we have painted the picture too rosy. Now, I'm not saying to say to every parent, your child will never be able to do this or never be able. That's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is be honest. If a child cannot do something, then we say, can't do it. Manage the expectations, not only from the staff, but from the student as well, and even from the parents. Talk about it. Talk about it. We have loads of meetings about specific children. So I would say, I'm available lunchtime if anybody wants to talk about Pete in year 7. I'll sit in the cafeteria, I'll have coffee and tea and biscuits, and any teacher that teaches this child can then come there and have a chat, look at the IEP, give me feedback. And then we obviously have loads and loads of round robins as well, where I'm sending out an email and say, can you tell me one thing about this child? And then the last one is ask. I'm not saying by any means that the inclusion department has all the answers, but oftentimes, because we work with so many students, we can compare things that's worked before and might work for a specific student. How do we do this? By understanding that teachers need support. By going through educational innovation both for the school and in the classroom. What works well in my classroom and have that shared. We need to start by creating positive models of success. That one is the biggest win for all of us because if the student believes they can, the teacher believes they can, the parents believe they can, they can. We need to network as a community of inclusion specialists, SEN teachers, gifted and talented people. We as a community need to meet, share resources, make sure that if I'm doing something in my school and you do better in yours, that you say, oh, we do this way. Because none of us can do this job ourselves. We need each other. That's why we just had that lovely conference on Saturday for the SEN Inclusion Network meeting. It was lovely. I don't know how many of you were there on Saturday at Jay's Al-Khaim. Get yourself included on the mailing list for the SEN, the Senko network. Because again, that's an opportunity to network and get more information. We need to identify a bunch of leaders, I can't say that word, a bunch of leaders and innovators at all levels and assist in building networks. Not only the innovations that we are currently busy with at our school is school-based support teams, doing research, action research on the quality of support and not only on the support that's in place. The support teacher model, we are really looking at that model that we've used for the last 3 years and see, getting feedback from teachers how we can do this better, how we can change the face of inclusion in our school. focused on instruction for diversity. Now we all know about Bloom, and hopefully we all use it. This is something that we've made for all our teachers, training staff, and it has Bloom's type questions on each of these. So the first one is remember. So if you're working with a child, you have a little thing that you can go onto and say, okay, so it's a who question. You can ask questions all the way up to the analyze phase of Bloom's taxonomy, making it easier for teachers and practitioners to be successful. Something like this took us maybe 20 minutes to create, another 2 days to get photocopied and laminated, and it's made a difference in the way teachers ask questions and make answers. Staff development and training, that's another thing. We are still looking at a model for that. We usually train on a Thursday afternoon for 2 hours, and you have to go to 3 of these trainings, but we need to look at how we do this better. We get problem solving. There's often problems that creeps up on us in inclusion, because there's very rarely a singular moment of support. Partnership with parents, we're always working on that. Connecting inclusion to school improvement, and this was a big thing for us. Now inclusion is the whole school focus. In the past, it was inclusion or SEN and the school. But we have to say thank you to the new DSIB inspection framework that actually makes schools aware that if you don't include, you are doing something wrong. Sharing best practice through networking, that is something that we need to still work on and get better at. Thank you for being a part of inclusion. If there's anything that you saw today that you'd like to get, would like to share, or maybe you have something that you would like to share with us at our school, please do not hesitate to do that. Thank you so much. Any questions? Okay, so one thing that we do that is an innovation that we've done is we have started with weekly summaries home to secondary students, which is something that we don't usually do. So a weekly summary will have a non-academic note about your child's functioning in the class for that whole week on their timetable, as well as the sheet for the next week on date that's important every single time it's done. So the parents can print that out, put that on the print and say, oh, this week you have this and this. Because in secondary, often communication is a problem. The other thing that we have also been doing is we have been making video footage of students being supported so that we can share best practice better. And we have our media department in school who actually does that for a fee. We obviously pay them to do that. We have students making videos of support for students.